I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 537. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. What a beautiful summer it's been so far. And I hope it's been that way for you too. Today, I want to share another interview that I did with Stephen Shaner. And the name of his podcast, which I hope you listen to, is Are You Awesome Today? And like I tell you, whenever I get interviewed, I always give words of wisdom, not only to myself and to the listeners, but things that I just never thought about before. So with Stephen, this interview is no different, especially because of the type of podcast that his is, which is Are You Awesome Today? Bringing out your own awesomeness. Don't you just love that title? So whatever you do when you sit back and listen to my podcast, maybe you're sitting, maybe you're driving, maybe you're walking, or maybe you're in a bubble bath like I like to do, sit back and see if you don't get one word of inspiration from Stephen and I that might help you in this next week of yours. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Are You Awesome Today podcast. I am your host, Stephen Shaner,
the Attitude Chiropractor.
and you are invited to join us weekly as we talk with successful people who will share with us their personal and professional experiences that have taken them from great to awesome.
Our guest today is Dr. Deb Butler. She is a certified master weight loss and life coach who is also taught at the Life Coach School for Brooke Castillo. Prior to coaching, she spent 30 years as a board-certified chiropractor, nutritionist, and acupuncturist. She is also the host of the podcast Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. Our topic today is the mindset of weight loss. Hint, it's not about the food. Dr. Deb, welcome to the podcast. Are you awesome today?
I am awesome today. Thank you for asking. It's such a great question. And I love what you said about yourself. What did you say? Your attitude
Chiropractor.
Attitude
I give
chiropractor.
pain-free attitude adjustments.
Oh my gosh, that is the most clever thing I've ever heard. I should have thought about that when I was a chiropractor.
Well,
That was good.
I have been known in the past to give some painful ones as well. But
I love it.
I like to help people with their attitudes in a positive way. So,
Well, that's what we're going to do today anyway, right? Between
yes.
you and me, we are going to try and help people with their brains and how they think and try to help them along a little bit.
Sounds like fun and much needed as well. So let's
Yeah.
get started. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you gained this passion for helping people with weight loss and you're doing your life coach.
Yes. Well, I guess I would say I practiced chiropractic and I was with my husband. And we had a lovely practice that we did for about 30 something years. While I was doing it, it was something that I was very passionate about. But when I got into my 50s, it just seemed like I didn't have the passion that I had for it. I was really thinking about what else I could do. But at the same time, I really believed that I was too old and that I really couldn't change what I was doing, especially what was my husband going to do? I was worried about a lot of things. And at the same time, I just didn't have that passion anymore. And while all of that was going on, one of the things that I did most of my life is I went to Weight Watchers. I considered myself, and I was a lifetime Weight Watcher member. And that was the way that I controlled my weight. And the way that I controlled my weight was basically, for me, a lifetime Weight Watcher member meant that when I gained my weight, my 20 pounds, I went back to Weight Watchers and I did the point system and lost my weight. And then as soon as I lost my weight, then I stopped going to Weight Watchers and I went back and did what I always did, which was basically eat whatever I wanted and used food in a way that I didn't know it at the time. I really thought I had my weight under control. I really did because I could lose and gain 20 pounds. So many times I figured I probably lost 250 pounds in my lifetime. I was an expert at losing weight. So therefore, I felt like I had it under control. But really, what was going on, and I could see it more when I was in my 50s, because when I wanted to lose that weight that was always so easy to lose, counting points, all of a sudden my body wouldn't let go of it anymore. And I wonder, like, what's going on here? My moods were getting weird. I wasn't sleeping at night. And, what do you know? I'm in menopause. And my doctor said, welcome to menopause. And it's a very interesting time because the weight was an issue now, and my career was an issue. It's interesting how the emotions in my career were affecting what I was doing with food and how I was eating. So, one way for me to ignore my frustration or disappointment in my career was to eat and drink and be merry. And therefore, I thought, well, things aren't that bad. And at that time, what I was really interested in always was, how to talk to the mind and how to help people with their minds. So even as a chiropractor, I spent a lot of time with my patients, didn't stick on a schedule because I was so interested in why they did what they did and how to help them do what they actually wanted, whatever it was. And at the same time, I thought, like, life coaching, it just became something, the whole idea of coaching people on their minds. And I found a very interesting woman. Her name was Martha Beck at the time. I started paying attention to what she was saying and actually went to one of her seminars and finding out that what we think affects what we do and affects how our lives are. And I wasn't happy in my career. And at the same time, realizing that I also wasn't happy with my weight. And I met a coach in that circle who called herself a weight loss coach. I'd never heard anything like that. And I always thought, like, boy, I'd like to be a leader at Weight Watchers because I thought I was so good at it. Really, one of the things that she asked in a retreat is she just asked the question, why do you eat when you're not hungry? It was such a profound question because I always wanted to know, well, just tell me, like, why can't I lose this weight? And what do I need to eat? And what do I need to do? And if I didn't do Weight Watchers, what would I do? But really, what came out of that was the answer to not only what do I want to do in my profession, but how do I want to treat my body and how do the two connect? And so as I started looking into the idea of why do I eat when I'm not hungry, and do I know when I'm hungry, and do I know when I'm full? Those are her three questions. As much as I knew about losing weight, I had never asked myself that question before. I never asked anybody else that question before. And yet, boy, did that change everything for me in terms of eating when I'm hungry and then deciding what that means, eating when I'm full and deciding what that means, and when I'm full, why am I still eating? And so I guess the discontent and the emotions that were around the career and realizing that there was so much discontentment that if I wasn't eating when I wasn't hungry, there were a lot of emotions to actually feel. I would say in a nutshell, and that is why, and that is how I ended up not being a chiropractor anymore. And, 15 years later doing this. And it really started with that question of why do you eat when you're not hungry instead of how many points do I get or what should I eat or how many calories should I eat? Really, the question is if you only ate when you're hungry and stopped when you're full. And I know we're big proponents of eating the right food, but in the beginning, just knowing your own body signals, there are so many women, including myself, who are smart and successful that have no idea what the answers are to those questions. And to me, it was a big question for me, but it was profound when I realized how many women were just like me, that they were hiring me just to help them figure out when to eat and when to stop. Like it was like no one ever heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
And like they would go out to eat and they would stop eating and there was still food on the plate. And people would say to them, "What diet are you on? How come you're not eating the food?" And the simple answer was because I'm full. And so that's kind of the story.
Yeah, that's a great story. What a great question. Yeah. Why am I
It's
eating when I'm not hungry? Yeah, it's just we really need to. Our body is giving us clues, isn't it? Right?
our bodies, and I think this is the beauty of menopause, is that there's a lot of things that go on physiologically in the body at menopause. It does kind of scream for our attention. I don't know. I ignored a lot of things up until that point. But at that point, it was like I had to put some attention into this body. I had to figure out what was going on. Leading to hunger and fullness also led to, well, when do you decide how much pain is enough pain? How do you decide when it's time to go to sleep? How do you decide about all the stuff that goes on in your body where your body is giving you signals? When do you decide to pay attention? And what I learned over time is that most of these smart, successful women that I work with, and I consider myself one of them, is we like our bodies to scream at us before we decide to listen. I call them pushers. We just push. We push through hunger. We push through fullness. We're tired. Just push through it. Oh, we're in pain. Just push through the pain. I think menopause is a wake up call to, are you ready to listen to your body? It's called the mind body connection. But
Mhm.
it's like, I think up until a certain age, you almost can just get away with ignoring it and still live and think everything is okay.
Yeah,
And I think you get into your 50s and I think the game changes.
yeah. Sometimes the wake up call is heart disease, diabetes, cancer, those other things too. Yeah.
Absolutely. But before all of that ever happens, it's all of these, I call it like learning how to be a body whisperer instead of learning how to pay attention to screaming. It's like, there's so many women I talk to who they'd be at work and they were sick. And I go, "Why aren't you at home?" And they would say jokingly, but it really wasn't a joke. "Well, I'm not in the emergency room, so I can work." And I really think that there's a lot of truth to how we take care of ourselves. Well, I can still walk, so I'll go for a walk or I'll go for a run, even though it really hurts. And as a chiropractor, one of the things that I really like to educate my patients about was maintenance care. And basically, what maintenance care is in chiropractic is you come when you're not in pain, or you come when the pain is very, very low, and you maintain it so it doesn't end up screaming and you end up in my office for a long time. But even those type of lessons, it's like once somebody has had terrible back pain, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to be on maintenance care. Yeah, I'm coming in." And they forget. And pretty
Mhm.
soon they're back to their old shenanigans again
Mhm.
because we're just not used to listening.
Yeah, we really aren't. And we get caught up, and we get our routines. We get our routines, and that means we're going to eat this way at this meal, snack here, eat this meal, snack here, eat this meal. And it's just that's our routine, and we do it because it's a routine, not like you say because we're hungry or any of those types of things.
That's right.
And you talked about Weight Watchers. There's so many things out there now that people say, yeah, take this for 3 days and you'll lose 90 pounds.
That's right.
It's, you
That's
know,
right.
and just bad news for me. I started looking into some of this stuff years ago, and I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia.
Uh-huh.
And doctors pretty much said my immune system had shut down completely. And
Wow.
without the immune system, there wasn't much hope. So I immediately went to a Chinese medical doctor, and they have a completely different way of looking
That's right.
at health and eating. And he taught me some pretty remarkable things. And so just an example, he says, "Do you eat broccoli?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, because it tastes good." He says, "Well, in ancient China, we ate broccoli because we knew it fed the immune system. And that's the way they did their eating. They ate specific foods for specific parts of the body to feed those parts of the body." But as went on, I had my routines for years, and I've tried some different diets,
Yeah.
and same thing. I'd lose a little weight, but I'd stop and it'd be right back up again. Now I'm to the point, I'm 68. I don't take any medications. I get up in the morning. I do 2 exercises, Tai Chi, and I do an exercise program called the 5 Tibetans.
Yeah.
And they are not strenuous activities. I think we get into
Mhm.
this idea that we have to do, 40 minutes on the treadmill or run 10 miles to get results. And we don't have to do that, do we?
No, no. I mean, I think of movement, the body, the reason that we move our bodies, I think has more to do with stress reduction. It's like we're wired to move. We're not wired to move to lose weight. We're not wired to move to tone our muscles. We're wired to move because it's how the body reduces the stress load. It reduces cortisol. When we're connected, we kind of like, I think like what you're doing, your connection is that if you do that, you're going to feel so much better when you're done.
Yeah.
And that's what gets you going.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah. And I think that's that same body connection. It's like you don't see little kids asking their parents, "Can I go out and exercise today?" They go out because they need to move and they want to play.
Right.
And adults know that that's the way they reduce their stress, and we can't get them out there fast enough because we know when they come back, they're going to be a different child. And that's the way we are too. And we've gotten so caught up in our body, women especially, our bodies, diet mentality, being thin, that we've lost all the reasons why we eat, what the reason is for eating, what the reason is for moving, what the reason is for sleeping, what the reason is for taking care of ourselves. That is really what the purpose of our chat is today, is to remind everybody that's listening that there is a connection. And especially if you're in your 50s, this is the time to do it, because the older you get, the more you need that connection if you want to age. If you want to age in a way like you're talking about for yourself, then you have to do it proactively. And
Mm.
I think instead of finding the best diet, I think it's more like, can you find your connections to yourself? Can you just figure out what your hunger cues are? And when I'm working with people, I teach a physical hunger scale, which seems so simple. And yet at the same time, we can wait a long time to eat and call ourselves hungry, or we can wait a very short time to eat and call ourselves hungry. We can eat a boatload and call ourselves full, or we can eat a tiny amount and call ourselves full. It starts with that connection of what is hunger and what is fullness for you, and giving it numbers. And I came up with eating between the twos, meaning that if a hunger scale goes from a -10 to a +10, that you're working on the twos. You're working on eating at a -2 and stopping at a +2, which is a whisper of hunger and a whisper of fullness. Knowing that you could go way down to being starving at a
Mhm.
-8 or way full to a +8. And some people are calling that's what I call full. So really getting those terms down and what is actually right for your body. And it's almost like a retraining, because if most of the people I work have been struggling with weight their whole life, menopause is making it harder. And they've only been used to following diets like me. It's like if I had to lose weight, I counted points. When I got to a certain points, that was time to stop. And to me, all I wanted to do was to eat things that didn't have a lot of points in them so I can eat a lot of
Mm.
them, because I wanted to be full, because I was so afraid of going hungry. That's just the diet mentality. So afraid of going
Mm.
hungry and thinking, well, if I can eat a lot and be full, it's a great diet. And the change in the thinking of, how much you really need, when you're really paying attention.
Yeah. And that's it, paying attention. And for me,
Yeah.
before I retired, it was the routine. Get up, have breakfast, go to work. At some
Yeah.
point, have a snack, go take a lunch break, have a snack in the afternoon, come home, eat dinner, 3 meals a day, snacks whenever. And that was the routine. But after I retired and I really started paying more attention to listening, I discovered, you know what? I don't need 3 big meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I have breakfast, I have a good breakfast. And then we generally have our main meal somewhere between 11:30 and 1, and that's our 2 meals. And then later in the day, if I get hungry, I'll have a good snack, some granola or, something. And just by doing that in the last 6.5 years, I've lost just a tad over 40 pounds without
Yeah.
trying to diet.
Yes.
So just listening to what this body needs. And, you make
Yeah.
mistakes. And that's the next thing I want to bring up. We make mistakes along the way, and that's okay.
Of course.
And that's a mindset we need to learn. You know what? You're going to have a big meal. You're going to go to a party, whatever. And I watch people do this all the time. They say, I'm going to diet. And they start on Monday. They always start on Monday, right?
That's
And they have a
right.
good Monday, have a good Tuesday, and then they blow it at lunch on Wednesday. And what do? I'll start again next Monday. No, start with the
Right.
next meal.
Right.
It's okay.
Right. And so what you're bringing up is really important when we talk about mindset, because it's like if you, for whatever reason, eat too much or whatever, you just wait for the next meal and eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And the more you can not have the mindset that you're talking about, because that mindset comes from this diet
Yes.
mentality. And that's what keeps people overweight, is that kind of thinking, as opposed to, okay, I did what I did. There's probably something I can learn from it. When I'm working with people, there's usually something you can learn from it. And then it's like the only thing you need to do to be connected to your body is wait till you get hungry again and eat when you're full and you're back. And it sounds simple, but when people have been thinking the way you're talking about, it's very difficult to incorporate
Sure.
in the beginning, because it's like, well, I think people are so afraid of going hungry or not getting the food that they want. And there's a good reason for that, because there's a lot of diets that you go on that don't allow you to eat all the foods that you think you want to eat. And so there's a good reason why you want to go, okay, I'll just start again on Monday. And for me, it's like, when I could lose my weight on Weight Watchers, I just couldn't wait to get back to do all the things that I was doing, eating and drinking and being merry, because I thought that was the way to control my weight. I could eat and drink and be merry, and then I would count my points. And it's like when I think about what I did to my body, losing and gaining weight like that. But I think before you're 50, it's like, it's amazing how allowing your body is about I think about the things I did in my 20s, and I can't even believe I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I could not do what I did in my 20s now and still be alive, probably. And that's just the idea of how our bodies change. And if we're willing, especially during this menopausal stage, to really put some attention in it and really figure out this connection, it makes getting older so much nicer. It's like, wow, all I have to do is really pay attention. And that means, of course, you stop pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, like, when it's time to go to sleep, you got to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And the brain might be saying all kinds of things, but I have this to do and that to do and blah, 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 or whatever it is. And learning your mind chatter, how it's either helping you or not helping you. Our minds say a lot of things that aren't true and don't make sense. And we think, because we think them, it's true and real because it went through my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like to help people look at what's going on in their brains. For instance, if they're eating food and they know it's time to stop, they've understood the connection of that +2. The brain can come in and say something as simple as, but it's delicious. And we've trained our brains to believe that if we say it's delicious, we don't stop eating. And that makes total sense. If it's delicious, you keep eating. Who would stop eating something that's delicious? Well, anybody that's paying attention to their body does not listen to that. It can be delicious and I'm full. Is a very different mindset than it's delicious, I should keep eating. Or it's delicious and I deserve to eat all of it. And this all comes from this mind mentality of restriction, deprivation, and really learning how to manage those feelings. Because I really believe, and I teach everybody that I work with and everybody that's listening to this podcast, I really want you to believe that you can eat whatever you want. And just because you believe you can eat whatever you want doesn't mean you're going to eat potato chips all day long. But I think people are so afraid of thinking that because they think they're going to be eating potato chips all day long. But it's actually the exact opposite. It gives you the freedom to know you can, but do you really want to? Most of us don't want to eat potato chips all day long. We just want to know that we could have a potato chip.
And I have not cut anything out of my diet. I mean, I like all kinds of foods, but I don't eat a ton of anything, if you know what I mean. And
well, according to what we're talking about, you probably wouldn't,
yeah,
according to the way the body works, is you can't eat a ton of anything
yeah.
and be connected.
I remember in basic training, the last couple of days before I shipped on, we had to go through a physical fitness day. So do all the physical fitness. We had to, run a mile and do so many sit-ups and so many, all these different things. Got up, went into the mess hall for breakfast that morning, and they gave us a hard-boiled egg and a half a piece of toast. And that was our breakfast. And I thought, I am going to die. Because like you were saying, we think, oh, I can't survive on this. It's just, we got to have all this stuff. And it's just, and culture plays a role in here too, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. Everything that we're talking about, especially the culture, our culture is that this thing about a thin body, I don't even know what that means because it seems like I remember even as a chiropractor when I would do physical exam and I would weigh people. I don't think I ever weighed a woman that was happy with her weight. I mean, I think the common thing that most women would say, yeah, I need to lose 10 pounds. It's like, I think most people are never even happy with the number on the scale because what we make it mean in this culture, that even if you get there, you're not going to be there. And I think that the way that we see ourselves is through the way that we think about ourselves. So we don't see through our actual eyes. We see through our thinking, and then our eyes show us what we're thinking. And most of us don't think that we're beautiful, thin human beings.
One of the things that when I stopped having the later meal, I wasn't sure how that was going to affect if I was with other people, that type of thing. I wasn't sure. But what I found is, if I'm at a convention speaking or something and people are going out to eat, I'll go with them. And I might just get like a little bowl of fruit or something like that. And people say, you're not going to eat? And I was like, I've had my big meal for the day, so I'm good. I'm not that hungry. I'm just going to have some fruit. And then they're fascinated, and they start asking questions. So you don't have to be afraid of that kind of thing either,
I think that's a really good point because social occasions for people are really difficult because people are so afraid what other people think about them. Mm-hmm. And they're also, especially with weight issues, women are very much into other people's business. What are they eating? How are they? I mean, I can't even, it's so sad to think that we put so much of our brain activity on this kind of stuff. And the actual truth is exactly what you say is if you don't make a big deal about it, nobody else is. But if you make a big, like, you don't have to say, well, I'm doing the centerpiece process and I learned this whole thing. And all you got to do is say, I'm just not hungry. Right. But we think we got to give this big explanation because what are they going to think if I'm not eating with them?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. So.
You have to worry about what's going on for you and what's going on in your mind because that's the only thing you know for sure. And I think we spend way too much time in other people's business.
Yeah. That is for sure. So, great advice.
Yeah.
All right. Your website is drdebbutler.com. Is that how people can reach out to you? And what else will they find there?
Yeah, I think the best way is I also have a quick start for weight loss, and you can get it at Peace with Deb. And what it is actually is it goes with my podcast, Inner Peace and Menopause. And it will teach you how to use the physical hunger scale. It will teach you, which we haven't talked much about the emotional hunger scale. It'll teach you how to use my number system of how to start reconnecting with your own body. And I think that's really important. And that's what my podcast does, especially in the beginning, the first, 10 podcasts out of 530.
Saw that.
But the first 10,
Congratulations. Yeah.
will really help you. And to get this guide to go with it, you may never need to talk to me. But if you do need to talk with me, then I offer a mini session where you can spend 30 minutes with me and I can find out if the process I use would help the person that I'm talking to. And it gives the person I'm talking to a chance to find out if I would be the right person for them in terms of using this centerpiece process. And that's at drdebbutler.com/work-with-me.
Okay, great.
Lots of stuff.
Yes. All right. Any final thoughts or a call to action, perhaps?
I think for everybody that's listening, the first thing that I would do is the next time that you sit down to eat, how hungry are you? Are you hungry? I mean, I think it's just a great place to start is, am I hungry? And if I am, just talking about this physical hunger scale that I'm talking about right now, can you put a number on it? So it's just up in your head. You're just spending 5 seconds connecting into your body for a minute. And then when you want to stop eating, can you do the same thing? How full am I? What would that number be? Right after you're finished listening to this, next meal is just start putting some numbers on this connection. That's, I think, a great place to start.
Excellent. Good advice. Dr. Deb, thank you so much for sharing your insights. And
thank you. It was so much fun, just like you said.
Yeah. This is so needed because really mindset is the right place to start. And you get some.
We both agree on that.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know
Thank you.
Listeners will get some value out of this, and I've got some notes here as well. So I learned some things, and always one of the things I loved about podcasting is we're always learning things. 530 episodes. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
I've never run out of things to talk about.
So, and for you and for all of our listeners, everyone, have an awesome day.
If you've been following my podcast and you're loving all the tools that I teach you, but you're just not sure that you can do it or apply it by yourself, then please go to drdebbutler.com/work-with-me. And you can find out if the program that I do and the coaching that I do will help you get to where you want to be, to learn all the tools that I teach and be able to make it a part of your life. Just go to drdebbutler.com/work-with-me. You can set up a free 30-minute mini session.